Imagine a night
I hope this was the right thing to do.
where every decision
What the hell was that?
and every single action
I just saw someone at the cabin.
affects your fate
Very funny. Guys, come
and the
on.
fate of those around you.
My friends and I have these scary movie nights that have become a bit of a tradition. We binge on the best horror movies we can find until we cannot handle any more. And then we binge on Disney films until we feel better. We've become legendary at the local pizza shop, but that's a story for another time. It's a weird sadistic pleasure we all enjoy, which explains why I enjoyed every scream-inducing jump scare that Until Dawn has to offer. Until Dawn is the story of a group of high school friends. After a prank goes wrong, two of them mysteriously go missing, and that's where the scares begin. Visually, the game looks amazing. It uses the same motion capture technology as LA Noire did, but with some well-known actors leading the roles, such as Hayden Panettiere and Peter Storm, it's not nearly as off-putting. Not only do the characters look realistic, the environments you explore look great too. All of the eerie and unsettling areas in the game only add to the suspense and anxiety. Unfortunately, these amazing environments are let down by some pretty frustrating camera work. In Until Dawn, the camera will jump around to give you the best vantage point for a classic horror movie style. But when you're trying to navigate through 3D environments, this type of camera movement can break the immersion and really detract from the scene's intensity. The biggest mechanic Until Dawn uses to push you through the story is called the butterfly effect. This mechanic relies on the player making split-second decisions in situations which decide the fates of your fellow co-eds. It makes you think, what if I didn't check his phone, or what if I didn't try and wake up my brother? Some of these decisions won't affect your outcome, whereas others will change it dramatically. This works really well with the QuickTime events, where your mistakes could seal the fate of someone else. Until Dawn combines the use of these QuickTime events and a brilliant inclusion of PlayStation's 6-axis motion control, with a brilliant score and sound effects. Making a QuickTime decision is hard enough when you're trying to escape a tense situation, but when the controller is ticking loudly and violins are screeching, everything comes together in one anxiety-inducing moment. In the midst of this panic, every action feels like it's life or death, and that's the point. When you trigger a butterfly effect action, white butterflies will appear in the corner of the screen to signal that this moment is important to the story. These decisions also affect your relationship and personality stats. You can go back and review your decisions, along with clues or totems you gather along the way so you can modify your behaviour. This comes in handy when you inevitably replay Until Dawn. I should mention that Until Dawn is also a massive, dirty cheater. During the game, you'll be interviewed by Dr. Hill, who becomes increasingly more disturbing as you go through the story. He asks you what you're more afraid of, which of course the game then uses against you. Essentially, you hand yourself to the game on a silver platter. During my interview, I said that I was scared of clowns, more scared of dogs than rats, Big Bitey versus Lil Jumpy, and needles. The major scare it used was clowns, which made me scream. Actual blood-curdling screams, on more than one occasion, much to the amusement of my jerk-ass boyfriend. Dr. Hill reminds me a lot of the game's master from the 90s horror game Nightmare, with most of his NPC interaction happening through changing environments and getting right up in your face. It feels like he's actually going to crawl out of the TV and berate you in person. He's a great way to break up the gameplay, but still keep you terrified. This game isn't without its flaws. Until Dawn started to lose me halfway through the game when things took a weird turn after the plot twist. The pacing changed and one of the plot devices was used a little too much for my liking. This device makes sense in the greater scheme of the story, but everything jumped from one bad guy to another without much explanation as to why. It also seems to focus on certain characters more than others. I felt myself wondering where character was after huge repeating scenes with other characters. The story also lacks in any kind of originality. It's not necessarily a bad thing, but Until Dawn relies on several horror movie stereotypes like the jock, the bitchy girl, and the quiet nerdy guy. All of these characters could be easily found in a remake of The Breakfast Club, if it happened to be set in a Canadian cabin during a blizzard. I think I found myself rooting for one particular character, but then I accidentally killed her because I was playing to her personality. My bad. Until Dawn managed to both scare the pants off me and make me want more. Despite some poor camera movements and a slightly disappointing story, if this game was a movie, I'd pay to see it in the cinemas and spill popcorn all over myself. It's definitely something I'll be replaying over again and still screaming like a terrified little child.
Only your choices determine who will survive. Exclusively on PS4.